Hi everyone, welcome back to Benos Esther Malka's channel. Today I'd like to go with you over the pages of our writing workshop. I kind of was inspired by coronavirus. I know it's a little sad to say, but since the kids were stuck inside, I thought about what if the kids could pick their ideal location with their ideal character and kind of develop it. So, if you're new to this channel, don't forget to like it, but most importantly, pause the video now, and in the link below, I have provided the link to all these pages, and you're definitely going to need it for this workshop. So the first thing that I need to make clear to the students is exactly what's an adjective. You know, if I tell you, I happen to have here a pen, not the most exciting thing. I have a pen. It's a pen. It's a pen. We're holding a pen for the video. That's boring. So I asked the students kind of, let's make it exciting, even though it's a pen. A pen is not exciting, but guess what? You guys have the power to make it exciting. So go around your house. If you have something fancier or prettier or that your kids like, more exciting than a pen. But have them use words like round and blue, and as you could see, transparent, and with the right light, the rays kind of reflect. So I am holding a blue pen in a transparent case that when the light hits it the right angle, it sparkles. And then, I have the two sentences up, and the kid's like, whoa. So once they understand that, we're ready to get started. All right, so the first one is, we all know kids, many psychologists will agree, especially ones that way back when, have studied that the kids go through the me stage, me, I. So let's start off with the my character traits, because I'm stuck somewhere, right? So this is what the page looks like. Now, I know it may seem a little bit backward, but we start with the bottom half, and then we go to the top half. So on the bottom half, it says 4 adjectives to describe yourself. Now, at this point, the kids know what an adjective is. So either A, they can use adjectives they see in themselves. B, they could use adjectives others see in themselves. Or C, they could use adjectives that they just want to have in themselves. Now, it could be physical, it could be superficial, it could be deep. Sky's the limit. That's number 1. Number 2, 4 characteristics you like about yourself, and 4 characteristics you don't like about yourself. Now, for the bottom one, I know nobody likes to say, well, I don't like this about myself. It's a little bit dark and negative. It is important, though, for later on. So if the kids want to make that up, fine. If they're more truthful, fine. Just kind of give the sheet out to them, have them fill out the bottom half, and then go over it as a class, taking volunteers and seeing who really wants to talk about it. And you'd be surprised. Totally cool. Okay, now for the top half. So once they kind of describe themselves, now, using the information, introduce yourself. Now, I pretend I don't know the kids. I want to hear about them. So if a student wrote, hi, my name is so-and-so, and I am creative, which I did get, I'd be like, oh, you're creative. Now, I'm the teacher. The whole point is to teach. So, what makes you creative? Ask questions that get them to think. Why do you think you're creative? Oh, I'm creative because I build with Legos. And the kids, all of a sudden, they start adding details. And here's another, possible scenario. Hi, my name is so-and-so. I am creative because I build with Legos. However, I don't really have patience, and my Legos often fall apart or break. Totally cool. Where the whole point of this exercise is character development. Any child, most children, can put 2 or 3 words together and come up with a paragraph of sentences of 2 or 3 words. But we want to take this and say, whoa. So what's the best place to start then? With themselves. For the second part, we are doing character traits, and this is going to help them create a character. Here's character traits. Set up same way as the other one. But before we actually start writing, I have the children close their eyes. I said, pick anyone. It could be someone you know. It could be a fictional character that you just want to spend time with. Or it could be someone that you want to create. So I start off with having the kids close their eyes and just imagine everything and anything you can about this person or character. Where did you meet them? Where did you want to meet them? Just quiet time, total silence like this. Now, I'm not going to go into the whole few minutes because we don't have time. Anyway, once they did it, same thing. What did you think about the character? 4 adjectives to describe your character. And this one, you might need to put in more physical character, sorry, for physical features, because at this point, none of us know the character. And then go into characteristics I like about the character I'm stuck with. What makes you like this person? And then characteristics I do not like about the character I'm stuck with. And you know what? Introduce the character and followed by drawing a picture. I like to put pictures because it's fun. Work should be fun. And a lot of kids like the color. And if they don't, they can skip that, but that's optional. Anyway, and same as before. If a child's going to write, I am stuck with this type of person, and this was a good one I had. I was stuck with this type of person and they're a fairy. I'm like, okay, that's a good start. Now, what do you like about them? Oh, they pick me up and we fly and I get to see a different, perspective. I'm like, oh, you told me the same thing about that fairy. But the whole point is get the kids to think deeper and deeper about what they're writing. And if you really think about it, this is how I think about it. When I read a book, I want to imagine what I'm reading. And the best place to start is right now. Let's break apart the different aspects of the story and find something we could imagine. And this is what we're doing. We're building up their imagination one step at a time. Now, it's a good thing that we have both characters, but in a story, the characters kind of interact with each other. And that's the next page, compare and contrast. Kind of about you first, because again, psychologists say we always go through that me phase first, so always start off with me. About me first. Could be positive, negative characteristics. You have your character at the bottom. Again, same thing, positive, negative, whatever. And then things that are the same. And this one is a little bit easier because it is one-word answers. We're both funny. Great, put that in the middle. I'm serious, she's silly. Again, sky's the limit here. Now, one thing to keep in mind, even though you've already filled out these sheets, if you ask any good writer, characters develop over the course of the writing. So if a child adds in some more words, that's okay. Because something that I've seen, and I'm super, super proud of my students when I talk with them, something that I'm hearing is that every time we talk together, new ideas are emerging, both because their creativity is evolving and because they're hearing other students. So take this as an opportunity to allow them to work within here. One thing to take note, if a child's going to go way overboard and start completely different perspective, they have 2 choices. Number 1, they can redo the previous sheets, or number 2, they have to stay on focus. Because you as a teacher, you also need some sort of boundary to kind of work with the child. So keep that in mind. If they're talking about a monster and they want to write furry and fuzzy and you have skin, that's okay. But if they're starting to talk about a monster and then they put in wings and slime and go way off into something that doesn't exist, kind of, hey, it's okay to change your mind, but are we going to change our mind or are we going to stay on track? Because I do have some students with, need help focusing. So this is a great way to help them there. All right, the next sheet is tell us about your friendship, because that's important. When you have a story, you have ups and downs in your story. Just because we may be writing about the location we're stuck with, I as a writer, or now your students as writers, need to know, where did this start? Because either A, this will help the child connect with the character, or B, this will kind of allow them to bring in references in their story. So tell us about your friendship could be where they met, how they met. Was there a story behind it, or was it just simple? Now for this one, I do require a first draft before they write it here in their final draft, because this is already, we're starting to pull together the story, and it's very important that when this reference comes in, that it is more, structured, for lack of better words. So again, first draft, tell us about your friendship. And that's also a good idea to kind of, you as a teacher, to get feedback over where their writing is holding and how you can push them. And what better way to start than in the middle of developing the story versus at the end when they already have their ideas. So that's next. The next sheet I have is the setting we are in. Now, every good story takes place somewhere. So again, same thing, 4 adjectives to describe your setting, 4 things you like about your setting, and 4 things you dislike about your setting. And it's the same format as before. For this thing, for this assignment, the workshop, all of the formats the same, so the students more or less can feel successful and feel happy. After they fill out the bottom, it's again, go to the top, using the information below, describe the location you're stuck in. Now this one, let's say an island. I am stuck in an island surrounded by sea. At this point, because they've already gone through the first 2 sheets, at this point, what you want from your student is, yes, and it's okay to start off, especially, it depends how old they are, but especially for the younger students, it's okay to say, I am stuck in an island. That's fine. Or a castle. I'm stuck in a castle. That short sentence is fine. But the question is, what comes after? I am stuck in an island. The island is surrounded by blue water that is so cold we cannot swim to the mainland. Like, at this point, you want to hear more details because, again, you've already gone through the other sheets and it's about development. This is going to help them with their final project. The next is I want to start introducing the actual creative process, but I want to get their gears kind of turning, and the rest of it is kind of more or less heavier information or what you're requiring from your students. This one is a small story about your location. Now for this page, a small story about your location, you have to write your location along with yourself and the character. Now, we just want to see where the students are holding and to give them a taste of what writing is. Like, this could be either a friendship, how you ended up there, how you, what you like about it, what you don't, but this should be in the format of a short story. Because again, you know, creative writing is not about the finished piece. It's about going through the process. So give them a little hint. Don't overwhelm them. And then we're going to kind of develop it. And lastly, you're going to get a sense of where they're holding. Is your student going to give you 3 sentences? Are they going to give you a well-developed paragraph? And, you know, it's just a way to share their information, tie up what we've learned, because the next steps are going to be a little bit different. So this is just kind of, I guess, an assessment in a way. All right, now we're actually going to start the creative writing process. Now for all of these, it's going to be about 4 steps. We start off with the beginning, with as always the rough draft before they write it on here. At this point, it's not recommended they write it on the paper. So here you're going to introduce to your students what a beginning, middle, and end. So there's no worksheets for this. Whatever strategies or formulas you use, you know, that's up for your teaching style. So your students should understand that a good story has a beginning, middle, and end. Now, this also depends on grade level. Some beginnings actually start in the beginning, have a middle, and end in the end. Some stories start at the end with flashbacks through the story until they get to the end. So again, just whatever age you're teaching, because on a high school level, you may not want to do beginning, middle, and end. I believe I forgot which book I was reading, but they started out with like this girl fainting, and she woke up and she was like, whoa, how did I get here? And then we got back to the beginning, and then we kind of went back to her fainting and ended it there. So again, this depends on your age level, you know, go with it. So depending on where you're starting, you're always starting at the beginning. Whether the beginning is the middle or the beginning is the end, you're always starting at the beginning. So the first step is, now these are just blank pages, write about your beginning. Because you want to help your student develop the beginning. So at first on a draft, have them write about the beginning. What parts of the story, and these are things to think about. Your student should be thinking about what parts of the story happened in your beginning. If it's a fairy tale, how did they end up together? One of my students, they flew together and they got lost and fell out of the sky. That's the beginning. But that's, again, what happens. Add details. Help your students develop a solid beginning off of that one sentence. So here we're going to write the beginning. We're going to help them develop it. We're going to help them rewrite it with, again, every time you rewrite, the skills and standards rise. So they're going to write about the beginning, rewrite it, and now they have a solid beginning to look for. The next one is same thing with the middle. What happened in the middle? What is the body of your story? Is it about the escape? Is it about the getting lost? Is it about the friendship? Your kids have, no limits here. What happened in the actual middle to make me want to stay and find that? Because we need that emotion. We want to stay for the story. So what's going on in the middle is going to go here. Now, with all these pages, these sheets, you might want to print out 2, 3, 4, or 5 of them, especially for the middle on the high school level, because there's no end to how your middle is going to turn out. So write the middle, and really, really, this is the most important, push your students for the details. Older kids can write 2 or 3 pages of the middle. Younger students may just write 1 or 2 pages, but really push them. This is the foundation of their writing. And then, of course, we have the end. And the ending is important in its own way. Here's the ending. The ending is important in its own way because that tells me, as a reader, if I felt that your ending was great, then I'm like, oh, I may want to pick up another work by, so-and-so later on. But if I felt your ending was a little bit, it was okay, then I'll be like, you know what? Good story, got the gist. Maybe I'm not necessarily going to pick up another story later. So the ending, and now most of your students are not professional writers, so we don't have to worry about that too much, but kind of help your students develop an ending that's like, oh, okay, that leaves you want to be left with pride. This completed the story. This was perfect. So once we have the beginning, middle, and end, we're actually going to write the story. And I have here, I did leave 2 pages in the printable. They're all the same. The last 2 are the same. And this is just, put your title here. They're going to title it. And then they're actually, again, first on a draft, then rewrite it. If you have older kids, you want to type it, I guess. Okay. I personally prefer handwritten, but, you be the judge. And here they're actually going to take all of the information and develop their story based on their writing style. We've gone through character development, we've gone through their self-development, their setting, and now it should come together in sort of a complete story. Now, 2 things to keep in mind. The first thing is, I know we went over the beginning, middle, and end. And this really depends on the age and skill level of your students in terms of these sheets. If your students are new writers, you may just have them rewrite this with 1 or 2 changes and develop their stories kind of done. And these are more for new writers. For older writers, use this as a reference to not to rewrite the story, but to expand on the story. Because we want here something your students can be proud of, something your students can look back and say, I wrote that story. If you have any questions, well, feel free to reach out to me on Instagram. I answer all your questions there. And if your students have actually used these worksheets, well, take a picture and give me a shout out, because I would love to see how your students felt about writing, being stuck wherever, with whoever. Thank you guys for stopping by. The printable is available in our store on Teachers Pay Teachers, so don't forget to check out that link below. Thank you guys so much for stopping by. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up so I'll know you like it, and I'll make more of these printables. And if you know a teacher who just needs some more work for their students, well, share this video with them. Thank you guys so much. Have a wonderful day, and most importantly, stay safe.